Okay, today's notes are over transformations of quadratic equations. So this is vertex form of a quadratic where A is in front of the X. So this is going to make it narrow or wider. If there is a negative in front of the A, that's going to make it reflect. Inside the parentheses, the H is going to move the graph right or left, and it is opposite. So it's going to be opposite of what you would think. So if it's minus H, that means it's going to move it right H units. If it's plus H, it's going to move it left H. Okay, and K is going to move it up and down, up or down, and that is not opposite. Okay, so this is the parent function. So this is what we are comparing everything to. Y minus x squared, that is almost like the parent function, except there's a negative in front. So that negative, remember what I said here, if there's a negative in front, that makes it reflect on the x-axis. So instead of opening up like the parent function, it's going to be flipped. It's going to open down. Okay, when there's a number in front of the x, if it is smaller than 1, it is going to be wider. So think of numbers that are smaller than 1. So, and when we say 1, we mean like the absolute value. So we're not going to worry about the sign, whether it's negative, just the number. Just look at the number. So numbers that are smaller than 1, for example, are 0.5, 0.2, or if it's a fraction, 1/2, 1/8. So basically, if it's a fraction or a decimal that is not greater than 1, that's going to make it wider. If A is larger than 1, that is going to make it narrower. Okay, H inside the parentheses, remember that's opposite. So if it's minus H, that's going to move it right. It's going to go right H units. If it's plus H, it's going to go left H units. Okay, the K value, x squared plus K, that's going to move it up K units. Minus K is going to move it down K units. Okay, let's do some examples. So remember, we're comparing everything to x squared, the parent function. So anything that's different is going to cause a change. So I have x minus 3. That's going to cause a change. I have plus 2. That's going to cause a change. So here I have two numbers, so I'm going to have two transformations. So inside the parentheses, is that A, H, or K? Inside the parentheses, that's H. H moves it right or left. So that's the H. Remember, if it's minus, that's opposite of what you would think. So it's going to move right 3 units. Okay? If it's outside, if it's plus or minus outside of the parentheses, that's K. K is going to move it up 2 units. Okay, example B. Let's look at all the changes. I have this negative. That's a change. There's 2. There's plus 1. and this plus 4. So I have 4 things that change. So I'm going to have 4 transformations. Okay, the negative, remember, I separated these because a negative makes it do something and the number makes it do something else. This negative in front is going to make it reflect. So I took care of that change. This 2, that's an A value if it's in front. So is 2 smaller than 1 or larger than 1? It's larger, so it's going to be narrower. Okay, this plus 1. That's inside, that's your H. It's going to do the opposite of what you think. It's going to go left. Left 1 unit. And this plus 4, that's outside of the parentheses, that's your K. It's going to make it go up 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 changes. Okay, example C. I have 1 change there, 1 change there. So if it's in front of the X, that's an A value. Okay, if there's a plus or a minus outside of the parentheses, that's K. If it's inside, that's H. Outside is K. So this is an A value, 2 over 3. That's smaller than 1, so it's going to become wider. Plus 2, that's going to make it go up 2. So remember, for every number, for everything that's different from the parent function, it's going to cause it to transform. Okay, last 2 examples. We have 2 graphs, and we're going to list the transformation and then write the equation. So remember, we're comparing everything to the parent function. So let's create a parent function. Start at the vertex, start at the origin at 0, 0. The parent function goes up 1, right 1, up 1, left 1. Okay, so think of how it transformed from the parent function to this function. The vertex went up 3 over 2. So it went this point to this point, went up 3. It went left 2. Okay, and it reflected. So if it went up or down, that's K. Left or right, that's H. Reflect, that's going to mean there's a negative in front. Okay, and if I want to talk about A, think about rise over run. The run should always be 1, and the rise, if it's a parent function, is 1 to 1. So let's look at this one. It went right 1 and then down 1. So that's how I know it's negative, but the A value doesn't actually change. So we're going to put this into the equation. So it's going to be y equals, the A value didn't change. It's still 1, but there's a negative because it reflects. Okay, the H value inside, it went left 2. So if it's left, it's going to be plus 2. And then the K value, it went up 3, so plus 3. Okay, E, we're going to draw the parent function. So at the origin, go up 1, left 1, up 1, right 1. That's what we compare everything to. So the vertex from here to here, it went right 1. Okay, it did not go up or down. Okay, so it did not reflect either. So think about the A value. For the parent function, it's run 1, rise 1. So for this one, if I run 1, how much do I rise? 4. So this one is skinnier than the parent function. So it got narrower by a factor of 4. So the only thing changed here, it went right 1 and it got narrower by 4. So if it went right, that's the H value. If it got narrower, that's the A value. So we're going to change our A value and our H value. So it's going to be Y equals 4 parentheses. Since it went right, it's going to be -1. And then there's no plus or minus anything at the end because it did not go up or down.